The Future of the Offline Church by Daiwana Crumedy. For my research problem question, I chose the brick and mortar church. And the problem that I came up with was a bit of a personal one for me. And it's because I'm actually trying to implement this in my own local church. And the question or problem that I came up with was to take the local brick and mortar church from where it is offline and catapult it into the 21st century and make it an online accessible success. Now, all of this sounded good in my head, but as I began to ponder and get excited, fear crept in. And I began to wonder, can I really do this? Could this happen? How would I do this? Is it even beneficial? Not just for me, but for the church that wants it to happen. And the most important question was, had it ever been done before? So, I decided that I would do a SWOT analysis of the situation, just to see if the plan would pan out in a good way. Well, after conducting the SWOT analysis, I concluded that it would be a very wise thing for the church to do. Now, I know that other churches with larger congregations had done this and are still succeeding with this today. But what about a smaller church? A church with less than 100 members. Can this still work? With all these questions in my head and no answers as of yet, I took to the only place that I knew that I could find them. Yep, that's right, the internet. Also known as Google. As I began to search for answers to my questions, I had another thought. What if I actually asked real people about this and see what they have to say? I began to think that I could also use that data to help me as well. So, I went to Survey Gizmo and I made a 10-question survey. And I began to randomly ask people questions about offline versus online church. I began to ask them things like, which do you prefer more? Offline church or online church? And why? After the surveys were done, the results concluded that 50 to 75% of people clearly preferred one more than the other. Well, after I received the data that I got really excited. I knew that I was on the right track, and with the right tools and determination, I could really make this happen. But I knew that I had a lot of work to do, and there were still more questions to be answered. For starters, I'd already known that the church had maintained its relevance through mostly offline word-of-mouth methods. Yes, they do converse on Facebook, but their presence wasn't as big as it could be. I also knew that the demographic and target audience for the products that the church would sell and the events that they would hold would be more towards the African American teens and adults between the ages of 12 to 60. But the most important thing about doing all of this was knowing that the church just didn't up and decide that they wanted to do this just because. And probably they did. But knowing that people outside of the church have contacted the ministry asking and seeking products from them, such as more videos and ways to view their services online, and even ways to give to the ministry through tithes and offering, or just to donate money to help the church. That's when I knew that this would be a great idea. Not just for my own local church, but for all the churches in my city, my area, and maybe even other states that I'm aware of. I realized that these churches need guidance in this particular area. So now that is my goal, to help local churches come out of the dark. And that is why It is my honest recommendation that the local brick and mortar church begin to adapt to the online world and use it to its full advantage. The world is not going to stay the same forever, and neither should the church. I believe that they can be just as good online, if not better, than they are offline. Even if you're only successful locally, you still should ready yourselves for the future, because you never know what God has in store for you. And so, this has been my presentation. I hope that it is or has been very informative. And I truly do believe that the church has a real chance, a real capability to be really successful. Churches have started small and become greater over time. And I believe that smaller churches, local churches in my area and many other states, just haven't had the chance to take that opportunity. They don't have the right tools and guidance to help them get out there. And as I first stated, I truly believe that I can be a beacon of light to them. I can be of assistance to them, whether it be making a website or just giving them ideas as to how they can better bring more people into their congregation, or let people know about their ministry from an online standpoint. And so that is something that I'm striving to achieve right now, this moment, because I believe that it can happen, and I believe that everybody deserves a chance to be great, even if it's only in their local area. Just conversing with other churches in your area, having the material ready so that when it's in the right hands and they listen to it, that idea that you have can spark something greater, and your ministry can be catapulted, as I first stated, into the 21st century. So I'm making this a permanent thing for me, permanent goal. And so I hope that you like my presentation, and God bless you.